through your first week of training camp, just how was your sense of defensive performance?
I think we're progressing. We're definitely a long way away from where we need to be, but I see the progress each and every day, particularly once we put on the pads, and that's always the key. I think Coach is doing an outstanding job in how we're orchestrating practice and creating live tempo situations. So we're definitely a long way away, but I like the direction in which we're going.
What have you learned about Sauce?
Pretty much. Well, as we talked back in the spring, the guy's physical. I know there's always questions about his tackling, but he's a physical corner. I like the way he shows up on the perimeter in the screen game. We know what he can do from a press man standpoint, but the identity of our defense is how our corners support and tackle.
What stood out most to you about Quincy Williams this far? Obviously, very versatile player, very vocal. What's been the violence he plays with, his ability? What's been stood out the most?
I like everything about Quincy. As you just mentioned, he's physical in the core. I thought he's done a great job from last year, what I saw on tape this spring, really striking and playing with his hands. He gives us the ability to be able to play out in space, match up on tight ends and running back, so very versatile.
Do you know much about Quincy and Jamian before you got here? And how do you feel they fit what you guys want to do?
I didn't know much about them personally. Of course, I knew of them as players. And where the league is going, where this game is going right now, everybody's spreading you out, all right? And it's a track meet out there. So you need speed out in space, and that's what we have. We got linebackers that can run, which I love.
What have your impressions been of Michael Carter so far?
Smart. He's a guy that, as you know, with that nickel position, is really a linebacker DB. Can fit in the run game, right? Understands the blocking schemes, pull schemes, getting over the top, but also has the ability to be able to adjust out in space. So I like him a lot, and he's shown up thus far.
What do you think about your cornerback room in general? Because you have a lot of talented guys, and obviously you can't keep them all.
Well, I mean, that's a good problem to have. You want to call it a problem, and it's going to all shake itself out once we start preseason and games and whatnot. But AZ, man, great pick. I told Moose today, hell of a job with those young guys. They still progressing. Malachi doing some good things. B. Stevens, as you mentioned, in the DB room, corner room, he's playing well, doing some good stuff. So right now, as I said before, we're moving in the right direction.
How's it feel to have a guy like Isaiah Oliver, who you're also familiar with, that can, a bit of a Swiss Army knife?
Yeah, Isaiah, as I tell the coaches a lot of times, we're talking about for him getting reps at a certain position. I say he's fine. Leave him at safety. Isaiah is a plug-and-play kind of guy. He's smart. He knows the defense. Something happened, we can put him at nickel, he can roll.
You guys made Cisco one of your first pickups, during free agency. What did you like about him, and what have you seen from him?
Smart, leader. Okay, and we knew his ability for us, his physicality, his toughness. You can see a little bit when he's at Jacksonville there, a little overweight. He dropped that. He's moving faster. But the leadership and coming in and being that vocal guy on the back end, that's what I love.
What's it been like working with Chris Banjo so far? He's a guy that was just playing like 2 or 3 years ago. It's a pretty quick transition to coach. I'm curious what your experience has been like with him.
It's funny. Don't like to share personal stuff, but Banjo and I was in the sauna, and we had a great conversation yesterday just about leadership, coaching and trying to develop players and get the best out of them. He's a hell of a guy. Good coach, smart, hardworking, and he's getting the best out of special teams. So.
When we talked to you in the spring, you mentioned that AJ had said you guys were going to do some tackling during training camp. We saw that Monday. What does that do? I see your smile. What does that do for your defense, and how much do you like that? You don't see that a lot in the NFL anymore.
Well, I love it because it's a fine line. Everybody's worried about getting hurt, and this is football. But I told the coaching staff, the defensive guys, like, you see the first 2, sometimes 3 games, all right, guys are losing because of that. Missed tackles, all right? They're doing too much, communication. So AG, once again, I said he's doing a hell of a job of trying to prepare us for exactly what we're going to see. So I don't know how you can go through the process, particularly with some guys may not even play in preseason, all right, and then all of a sudden get to the season and think they're going to be ready to tackle. So I love it.
How do you go about, like, Steven, Sauce, there's been a lot of talk taking the football away, it's defense obviously, but those two specifically, Is it technique? Is it drill work? Like, how do you get them to start taking the football away more?
All of the above, and I thought we did a great job today getting our hands on the balls. Came away with a couple of interceptions. Number one, you saw some tips, and that's getting 11 guys running to the ball. Two, you saw, I think it was Sherwood pop one out right there in the end zone. So it's definitely a point of emphasis that we talk about, but also the technique that we teach.
You said you talked about how you got a long way to go. Obviously, when it's, I don't want to say finished product, but when you're week 1, week 2, what do you expect your defense? What do you want your defense to be?
Well, number one, I want us to play smart, which trying to limit the penalties and the mental bust. Again, I think that's what loses the games early on, those things, and just the ability to play fast and execute. That's what I'm looking for.
How was the communication down there in the red zone today, and also how much is going to help you guys in the regular season that you're playing against an offense that hasn't been?
I think it's great. We talk about it all the time as a staff, defensive staff. What Tanner's given us, I think, is outstanding because it's getting us to think and communicate and talk the things that we see. I thought the communication was good down there. We had one that we didn't really get a peel when we should have, but other than that, we were fine.
On the other side of the ball, does Garrett Wilson remind you of anybody?
I think he's a good receiver, very talented. Again, like I said in the spring, I don't like comparing. I'm glad we signed him. I'm glad he's on our team. I think him and Sauce have a very competitive edge with one another, and I love to see that in practice.
What specifically makes him special?
Just his ability to be able to play in and outside, in the slot, outside, the matchups that we try to create, his quickness, his speed.
How do you see the D line itself? I mean, obviously Quinnen is there, but there are a lot of guys here. Some vets, some young guys. How do you see that competition? And you tell these guys that there are a lot of spots open. You got to earn it.
Everybody has to earn it, of course. We know Quinnen is there, but those other guys are grinding each day. I told you back in the spring, and thus far, Big J, he's showing up. All right, Byron Coward, he's showing up. Those guys are performing well. Page, the young rookie, they're doing some great things inside. You look outside, love to get Jermaine back. No, don't know when that's going to happen, but you look at Will, he's doing an outstanding job, and I'm telling you, Clem's having an outstanding camp.
Well, Sauce,
Michael Clemens.
well, do you believe in the cornerback, your top cornerback, traveling with the number one receiver?
I believe in putting my guys in the best position to make plays. You know, each week is going to determine what we do, whether we stay left and right. B. Stevens is doing a hell of a job. I got a lot of confidence in with him being on one side and Sauce being on the other side.
What's your philosophy, Steve, in terms of the defensive line rotation? Like, do you want anyone playing 90% of the snaps, or are you a guy that wants maybe 60, 70% as opposed to outplay?
I can't really get into to talk about percentages and numbers. But we have a strong rotation. I've always had a strong rotation. That's the only position right there where they banging on every play. You talk about Sauce can go 3 or 4 plays and don't even get touched. So we got to have a strong rotation on first and second down with our guys, and then get to the ability to get our third down guys on the field.
With Sherwood, he's obviously still pretty young and been playing this position for only a couple of years. What's the next step for him in terms of taking it to the next level?
I think he's already started that. Just his leadership. This guy, man, he is so focused, you know. I even try to joke with him a little bit, and he's just like, here, you know. And when you look at a guy getting paid, you always have that question whether or not he's going to continue to progress, all right, or settle. And I can see that every day. He stays late after the meetings. He's always asking questions. He's communicating with the guys in front, on the back end. He's definitely the glue.
How's everybody doing? Good to see you guys again. Excited to be here. Off to a good start here in camp. Guys are working hard and diligently and getting better every day. You know, that's what we're trying to shoot for, is just show improvement every day, and I think we're accomplishing that so far. But otherwise, go ahead.
How do you think Justin's performed just a week into camp?
Yeah, I think Justin's done a really nice job a week into camp. He's absorbing and digesting all the information. You know, as we get through it a second time, we had it in OTAs, and now we have it a second time. He's doing a really nice job mentally, and you're seeing, you know, some of the product on the field where we're making some plays, but then we're not making some plays. But that's going to happen in training camp as we're as we're going through the installation. So, but he's had a nice camp so far. Really good job.
Like to, or that you're working with him specifically on, are there certain things that you need to see him get better at?
Yeah, we're always talking about playing fast with your feet, and reading the defense and playing in the pass game at least, through your feet, where we got to be in the same or in the right area, in the right drop, so the ball's coming out at the right time. And so we're always working on that, And you saw today was a red zone day, and as we all know, everything happens a little faster, a little bit tighter in the red zone. So just something we're always working on with those quarterbacks, not just Justin.
AG mentioned Mason Taylor and talked about his blocking skills too. Just kind of what you've seen from him from that side, and also just in general as well.
Yeah, I see growth and development out of Mason. He's on the path to becoming what we expected and hoped that he can be, and he's done a really nice job this camp in the pass game and in the run game as well. So again, daily improvement by him, and we're excited to see where that continues to go. Again, he and the quarterbacks as well they're developing a nice rapport, which is good.
It seems like the run blocking has been pretty good throughout camp specifically. How have you thought about how those guys have been doing up front in the running game?
Yeah, I think that group is taking on the identity of what AG talks about. We want to be a fast, physical, and violent outfit, and I think they're taking that to heart, and they're playing with that mentality, which you're seeing. We're finding some lanes and getting some movement up front. But we've got some really good players up there too, like we talked about in the spring. But really like where that group is going right now.
We saw a lot of red zone today. I think that was something you worked on a lot in Detroit, right? Was that one of your roles in Detroit, was kind of doing red zone? How much time do you spend on it, like just kind of thinking about it, designing it? Because like you said, it's quicker down there, it's a short, tighter space, and it feels like I don't know if you can quantify it, but how much do you kind of concentrate on that?
Yeah, it's a big part of the game. 4 points are on the line, especially once you get into third downs. You're going to get a touchdown or you're going to get a field goal. We're obviously shooting for those touchdowns, but you do spend a lot of time on that. Generally, you spend like a whole day in a game plan week, really trying to hone in on what's the defense doing, what are their rules, how can we attack them, what of our base concepts fit. So there's a good amount of time spent on game plan in that red zone.
What have you learned about Garrett Wilson that maybe you didn't know?
He's a really smart individual. And not to say that I had no preconceived notions, but he is a genuinely smart player, and he is a really, really good person. Like, he's somebody that you really like to be around. He's genuine, and he cares about the team and the people that are on the team as well. And just he's but I think that's been the biggest thing that's been really nice to know, getting to know Garrett.
Style-wise, how is he different from Amon St. Brown?
Yeah, they have similar skill sets to some degree, but they have different skill sets as well. Garrett's a field player at times, and St. Brown he had the feel, but he was a very specific, no wasted motion type of player. Garrett at times will have a little bit of, call it sauce to the routes at times, and we try to keep that under control where it's beneficial to us. But I think but they're both really smart players. They're both instinctual players, and so that's always a bonus. Those are two good qualities that you want in a receiver.
What have you seen from Ola thus far? I don't know if preconceived notions coming out of college and last year. I didn't see him lose a rep today, so have you kind of noticed the same thing and how he's grown from year one to year two?
You kind of hit it on the head. Like, the first word that comes to mind is consistency. And he's been consistent through 7 practices so far in both the run game and the pass game. So we got to keep him going on that path.
How's Membu doing, especially with the mental side of it, learning the playbook, everything that rookie deals with?
Another guy that's a smart player, a smart football player. So he's going to take his lumps as a rookie, and he's always going over there against Will, which is going to be a challenge in and of itself. But if you want to talk about mental errors or those types of things, not really having that going on, which is really good. We've got a lot of offense in right now. We've got almost the full installation kind of out there, and he's handled it really, really well, in addition to the rest of the guys.
What's it like as an offensive coordinator seeing Sauce Gardner in the defensive backfield?
Yeah, you gotta pick your spots. That's a really good football player, and when we're out here at training camp, we're not necessarily trying to not throw his direction, but game plan wise, those are types of players that you have to know where they're at every play and what you can attack them with, because that's a special player over there.
How beneficial is it for Justin to be practicing against such an aggressive defense and so talented on the back end and things like that, like really having to think on his feet the way he has to against these guys?
Yeah, it just makes him have to speed up. Like, everything has to happen fast. He's got to process it. He does a great job spitting the play out in the huddle. Then he's got to get up there and process it. Is there a kill on the play? Is there an audible? Is there a check? What is it? And he just has to play fast because of the defensive speed and the pass rush getting there and the tight coverage by the defenders. We've got to play on time. And that's, again, been good for Justin, but for the rest of the quarterbacks as well.
Obviously, you want an offense to win the day, but going up against a tough defense like this, what does that do for, just the offense, especially heading into a season?
Yeah, it gives you a good measuring stick, if you will. If we can move the ball and have success against our defense, I would think that would give us some confidence that we could have success against other teams in the league, as they are. They're this is a good defense over here with good football players. And so if we can win a practice, that's pretty good.
With the live tackling you guys did Monday, I know the defensive guys love that. As an offensive coordinator, you're kind of like, we have to have Garrett. You get tackled on July 28th, or do you see value in that on the offensive side as well?
Garrett absolutely needs to get tackled. I firmly believe that with all my heart, that what we're doing is the right thing to do. Explosive plays, we talk about that, right? We talk about getting explosive plays. Well, one of those is run after catch and making people miss in space. And we have players that can do that. And the best way to get good at something is to do it. So it would be negligent upon the coaching staff to not do that, in my opinion.
Going back to what you said about Garrett, in terms of balancing that you need this conformity for the offense to function, but also you want to let guys be themselves. With him and with anybody else, how do you approach that, and what's the challenge in
he knows what routes we're looking for some of that on, and he knows the other routes that we may not be looking for it on. But what we tell him on every play is that it's a race between the D-line and the ball to get out, not between the receiver and the DB. So he has to play fast so that he can beat the rush to get the ball out. And if he's messing around too much, or any of the other receivers, we're messing around too much, then we're going to have a problem. So we can't. We just got to go.
What has stood out to you about Brees, and how much you enjoyed the matchups when he's going against Quincy Williams?
I love it. I think Brees is a matchup issue for defensive players, especially the linebackers. If they want to play man-to-man coverage with Brees, I'm going to take that matchup any day of the week. And it's been fun to see him develop the route tree, not just, as AG said the other day, not just in the backfield, but outside of the backfield as well, and see if we can't find some things that he does out there that can give us some chances to get some explosives.
Aaron has said so many times, I'm going to be AG, I'm going to be AG.
Yeah.
Now that you see him here as a head coach for the first time, how do you feel he's might be different than Detroit, or what do you feel about how he's putting his stamp on this team?
Yeah, the AG that your guys are seeing, that's the AG that I know. That's the AG that I've seen the last 4 years in Detroit. He's just now the head coach, and he's in charge of everything, and he's got his eyes on everything. He and I talk on a daily basis in that regard. It's just he's not down there coaching the defense. He's coaching the offense too. We're talking, again, we're communicating. But the person that you see and the energy and enthusiasm that you see out of him, that's the same. That's who he is.
Brandon Smith stood out to you at all? I feel like today, was in the end zone the entire day. So is he a guy that Brandon Smith stood out to you at all throughout the last?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Brandon Smith stood out to you at all?
Oh, Brandon Smith. Yeah. Brandon with his size, absolutely. That's when a player like that, you get down closer where the speed and the long part of the field may not be as much of a factor. Not that he doesn't have any speed, but he is a big, tall target, and again, with those tight windows down there, that becomes a positive for us where we can find some things for him to do.
With the number 2 spot at wide receiver, all the talk about Garrett, how do you see that playing out? I mean, you see Reynolds out there a lot. How do you see that? Is it open?
It's up for grabs. Everybody's trying to win the job. We're all trying to make the 53 and then the 69. And so we've got a long way to go in training camp, and a lot of guys are getting turns to go in there and play with that first group. And they're all competing, and we're going to let the chips fall where they may when it's all said and done. But we're happy with where that group is coming. They're making progress every day.